to my experience, enterprise are pretty keen on setting up very good like security setup, and like banks, okay, because there are a lot of regulations by the government, and also you heard of Hong Kong is good for like hot money. Hot money, the government say the money could be bad, could be good. So in terms of bad money, they should have like very good security measure to trap it, to measure it, to catch it. But for the SMB, that could be a major problem because the competitions, the price pressure force them to lean out their operations, and security could be part of their lean out objects.
At the end of the day, like when you look at the large enterprises, I mean, they're actually driven by compliance issues. So there is a need, and they need to comply. When you look at some of the small and medium-sized enterprises, it's largely driven by the client. If the client has certain specifications or certain requirements, then they would look at, or they would pay more attention to security. I mean, that would be in Hong Kong, but for example, like say in India, I mean, where most of the small to medium enterprises are involved in the outsourcing sector, they need to comply with some of the US and also the European regulations. And so they are actually adopting security a lot more than I would think in some of the smaller companies in Hong Kong. But again, it's because of what the market demands.
Cloud computing actually is just like, I would make like analogies, like in a very plain water pond, okay, cloud actually is some new fish pulling out in the pond, okay, and still a lot of discussions. There's a lot of like risk point. First of all, cloud is right now is still premature, okay, and a lot of enterprise, okay, they are starting to test the water, to taste it, but whether they will fully adopt is unknown. The first one. And second one is because cloud computing means you spread your applications and data, both, over somewhere you don't know. It could be in Africa, it could be in Russia, it could be in Sarabia, who knows? It could be in a very like Iran or Iraq, we don't know. How we can guarantee all this kind of application and data are not compromised? Okay, and there's a lot. That's why what I'm right now also do some like personal research on the cloud securities and cloud applications. Right now, there's no any like a converged thought about how secure cloud computing is. But since cloud computing gives very good promise, it drives down the cost, and also can give very good scale out like scalabilities. That means to the enterprise or to the any like corporate owners, this is sounds very attractive. So maybe talking about maybe next year, end of next year, 2011, there could be a much more like mature cloud security framework and cloud application framework will come out. But right now, it's not mature.
So cloud computing, it brings a lot of advantages. As there are obviously a lot of benefits. At the same time, there's also a lot of risk involved if you're not doing it right. Because if you actually look at it, it's actually running on applications, and research has shown that close to around 70% of breaches that do take place nowadays is on the application side. So organizations and companies need to pay a lot of attention on the application. The other thing which also, like I think Daniel had mentioned earlier, is compliance. I mean, where does your data reside? I mean, what may be legal in economy A may not be legal in economy B. Another scenario is like, okay, when you look at business continuity planning or business continuity management, you try to have your data reside in two places, okay, so that if one fails, you have access to the other. In cloud computing, you could be using two service providers, right? But at the back end, they could be using the same data center. So you have all the data converging again to the same place, which is not good when you're looking at BCP. So companies need to be more diligent when they're looking at the service level agreements and stuff like that. I'd say again, if you look at it, there are two aspects. I mean, because you're looking at the application side. When you're looking at the application side or the software development life cycle, then we've got the CSSLP. The CSSLP basically tries to ensure that people have the required skill sets to ensure that when you're looking at security, it's taken into consideration right from the design phase. when you're trying to actually come up with the software, rather than trying to build a security application over the application after it's been done. So that's with the CSSLP relating to cloud computing. But just because we talk about cloud computing, it does not mean that the role of the information security professional is no longer valid. I mean, you're just looking at application, because the information security professional still has to make sure that he's got all the right processes and procedures in place. I mean, he has to look at access control, he has to look at cryptography, in terms of how it has impacted us, I mean, I think we've been actually a step ahead, because we came up with the CSSLP credential more than a year and a half ago, and cloud computing is catching up now.